Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, we got an absolute wonderful show coming your way. We're gonna be talking about Bitcoin mining, crypto mining, a lot of things that we hear about, but really, many of us don't know a whole lot about it. So we're gonna be talking about that. When I got an expert, it's going to kind of go through and kind of teach us a little baby steps on how this is done. And I also got my main man, Dr. Eric Hall, that's going to also be co-hosting this with me. But I tell you, I want to lock in both TV and radio right now. So, Todd, let's do it.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the James Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and to overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. And I tell you, wherever you're watching this at, whether you're listening at, or whether it's radio, whether it's television, whether it's YouTube, whether it's StreamYard, or over 25 other live streaming networks, welcome aboard. We got a fantastic show coming your way today. We're going to be talking about crypto mining. We're going to be talking about Bitcoins. And we're going to talk about all of those things because I can only tell you that's my concept prior to talking to this absolutely fantastic guest that we have on today, that it's a process in doing all of these things. And it's a very precise process. But he will be telling us all about that. To join me today, I tell you, we got Dr. Eric Hall, who is also going to be the special guest co-host today. How you doing, Doc? How you doing?
I'm doing well, Doc. How are you?
Man, I'm excited, man, because I'm getting ready to learn about something that I have no idea about. And, I always talk about, well, it might be nice to invest into that, but what am I investing in?
Yes,
So
sir.
just getting an understanding of what this is. And I tell you, hey, Doc, can you tell them a little bit about you? You've been a face on the show for quite some time. Just give them a little bit about you before we bring our guests on.
Yeah, absolutely, Doc. No, thank you for having me again. Dr. Eric Hall, I'm an actual, man of faith, CEO and founder of African Links, as well as Mojim Global Exports. I've been an African ambassador of several countries in Africa, 20-year investment banker, um, real estate broker, you name it, in aerospace and military. So that's a little bit about me, Doc. I'm excited about our guests and ready to get busy with the show.
Man, I'm extremely excited about the guests. And first of all, I want to tell everybody the title of the show. The title of the show is the importance of Bitcoin and crypto mining for our financial freedom. And that's we always are looking for things to help us out and make sure that we do have financial freedom. And today's guest is no other than Mr. Bill Stewart. Mr. Stewart is currently holds the position of president and CEO of Dynamics and has been there since 2009. Dynamic is a full service technology company specializing in the promotion of business via the internet. Bill has acquired and overseen the development of 3,000 plus business solutions and web projects. During the past 5 years of operation, Bill has been responsible for Dynamics growth in Colorado, Georgia, Nevada, California, Puerto Rico. And Bill has made Dynamic viable technology provider in all of these five markets. And again, Bill is going to talk to us about crypto. So I can't wait to bring him on. Let's do that right now. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Bill. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Wow. So it's an absolute pleasure having you on the show because just like I was saying in the green room, and I was talking to my producer, we have not had a show over the last 4 years that where we talked about this because I didn't have a expert that was willing to share the knowledge of how this is done. So we're so happy to have you on today. First of all, can you tell our viewers and listeners where you at, where you grew up, and just a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I'm a Colorado native. So I was born in Denver, Colorado. I grew up in Boulder, Colorado for pretty much all my education, high school, college. And then, after that, I ended up, exploring different areas and different businesses in different states. And so I was always kind of eager to go out and explore and learn more, connect with people. And so we've been, traveling and doing a lot since then. I've always had a big computer technology background. When the internet first came out, I was, a seventh grader, and it was the brand new thing, and everybody was kind of confused about it. They didn't understand what it was, but I found myself in a middle school classroom with a teacher who was introducing his class to the internet. And, you know, to his dismay, it was kind of hard for a lot of the kids to grasp or show interest in the internet because it was just this new thing. And at that moment, it was really just like text message conversations amongst people. And so they had opened a dialogue with a class in Germany. And here we were in America, and we were, having this dialogue. And so to me, I found it very interesting. And I started, I was the leader in the class. I said, I have no problem talking and typing and introducing ourselves to different people in different places and different countries and stuff like that. So even as a kid, I found it strikingly interesting. And so my teacher at the end of the class, he kind of pulled me to the side and he says, "Hey, would you be interested in being my computer aide?" And I was like, I guess I could squeeze that in with some of my practices and things like that. So I ended up having a computer class right after my lunch period as just a regular class. And then I ended up being the teacher's aide for my seventh period, of which from then I could run off and go, to basketball practice or football practice when I was in school. And so it was an interesting parallel to me because obviously, I was very big into sports. I loved playing sports. I did the wide gamut all the way from tennis all the way down to, swimming. So I love sports, but this internet was something that was quite fascinating to me, and being that one that kind of broke the ice for my community and talking to people on the internet. I almost felt like a groundbreaker a little bit, and that I drew a lot of interest to people in the internet, even at a young age. And so, I've always had an interest. I grew up in a great community that, gave us the opportunity to experience that. So I had a passion for this thing for quite some time.
Wow. So that is a lot. So you started teacher's aide in the seventh grade. So as you progressed and as you grew, did your educational background or was tied off into that as well? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, after I finished school, computer networking was a big deal. And so I was very interested in learning about servers, how to build networks. And, I took a nice, for all the people out there that are trying to find their path or whatever. I mean, I took a very cool community college technology course over the course of the summer from when I was maybe 18 and a half to 19 years old. And it gave me some really core knowledge and skill sets to like understand networking to the point where I could get a job in the industry, and I started in customer support, tech support, and, supporting computer systems and hard drives and peripherals. And really it just came the ability to answer the phone, understand and disseminate information properly back to people who needed it. And I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I found it to be a very refreshing occupation, and so that's kind of how I got my background into tech. After I did that program, I did a little bit of computer science at the University of Colorado in Boulder. But at that time, there were so many businesses and so many job opportunities that, I took a great, director of customer service job in my mid 20s. and I ran with it, and ever since then, I've had a pretty good career in IT.
Good, great stuff. Bill, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about Dynamics Mining? How did it come about?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, we opened Dynamics Mining. It's like a division of my main company, Dynamics. Dynamics is, a full service tech company. We do everything from website management to server development and, all the high-end server type work people do in the tech business for, almost 10 years straight. And this is a complex business because you'll have to deal with a variety of different things like, problems with servers, all kinds of complexities. And in reality, the bit mining is a little less complicated. When you think of this Bitcoin thing, you think this complicated and very hard thing to figure out. But in actuality, the machines that people use to mine Bitcoin are very simple machines. The most commonly used one is called the ASIC miner. It stands for an application-specific integrated circuit. And so it's a machine, really simple, 2 power plugs, an internet cord. You tell it, hey, this is where my wallet is. And every time you get a reward each day, you deposit that into that wallet. And so mining became an interest to me because when you look at these different cryptos, there's certain ways that you can participate. Like you had said in the beginning, people are like, well, how do I invest? Or how do I get in? Where should I put my money? Should I buy some Bitcoin? And, I sat back and I kind of evaluated the industries and determined that mining is the most lucrative way to invest because you're in the business of generating and creating Bitcoin. And so mining works on a concept called proof of work, right? So these machines, and I actually had one of my guys pull one off the shelf and bring it over. But this is an actual Bitcoin mining rig. I'm going to expand it a little bit for you. This is a little bit bigger one. It's like, you see, it's a little bit of weight, a little bit of size to it. But as I described, it's a very simple unit in that it has its power and then it has its internet. And it's like, I'm working is the red light. And then the red light's like, I'm not working. And then, you have to do some maintenance or work on it, which obviously is even more easier than like a desktop computer at your home, right? And so with these machines, again, they work on that concept. So to give you a little background, like Bitcoin and how the process works is these crypto technologies, they run off what's called a blockchain. And the blockchain is like a gigantic digital ledger, right? And everything that happens in that ledger.
Hey, Bill, can you hold that thought? We got to take a station break. But we're going to come back. We're going to pick it up from there. We're going to come back and pick it up. If you want to be part of this conversation, all you do is dial 1-866-577-2473 or go to whatever platform that you're watching it on. Ask this great man any question you want to, and I tell you, you're going to get your answer. We'll be back shortly after the break with some more Bill Russell. It's your life.
For granted, now I know that it has always been you.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Welcome back to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And I'll tell you, just getting educated, just having an understanding of what is Bitcoin and crypto mining is, and looking at that big machine that Bill just brought out. I cannot wait to how you explain to us what type of data is kept in that and how we go about, uh, I mean, how people go about making money off of that. So hey, Bill, are you still there?
I am. So.
So you had pulled out that machine you were telling us about. What exactly does that machine do? I mean, do it store data? Do it convert data? I mean, what?
Basically, it's like, it's a great question, and there was a pretty good segue there earlier. So, in describing it, basically, I was getting ready to talk about the blockchain itself and how these machines basically write to blockchain's ledger. So you think of a giant ledger that keeps track of every transaction. Back in the day, my grandmother, she used to have a journal, and she'd keep track of everybody who borrowed money from her since the beginning of time, right? Go back in that journal, and she'd say, way back, I remember 20 months ago, you borrowed $100 from me, right? Can't change that ledger. Only person that can change that ledger, is grandma. So the thing that's beneficial about Bitcoin is that it runs on like a digital ledger like that. So every transaction, if I send you Bitcoin, it's going to know, your address. It's going to keep track of that. And these machines will do thousands of verifications per day to verify different transactions on this network. So you have thousands of these machines running. So if I sent you Bitcoin, it would verify that you are who you are. I am who I am. And once a block is completed, then the monies from the blockchain get transferred into your wallets. And so with that being said, this particular machine, it doesn't store any data, doesn't have a hard drive in it, it doesn't have any, operating system like you would see in a normal computer. This is a transmission device. As long as it has an internet connection, it's going to say, hey, I'm available, and let me find a block to verify. It's going to grab one. It's going to say, hey, this is James. Hey, this is Bill. Those two are good. I verified it, and it's going to add it to the ledger, right? And so now this ledger becomes a complete digital footprint to every transaction that happened. Now, why people like Bitcoin or people are attracted to these ledgers is because it's really transparent, right? Unlike, traditional bank systems and monies of the past, you can't really see everything that happened. They're up for different types of manipulation, and with Bitcoin, everything is really transparent, right? And so a Bitcoin mining machine is going to spend its days sucking up energy to verify each transaction that it can. And as it does, you receive a small reward of Bitcoin in exchange. So go ahead.
And so when you say proof of work, right? And so the machine is designed to verify a ledger. So Bitcoin mining essentially is the system verifying that ledger to validate it.
Pretty much.
That's what becomes the proof of work.
Yes, the proof of the work is like, this machine said so, he said so. The work was created to prove that he's who he is and he is. That's evidence that this was created and hence called a proof of work, And so with that being said, people really do believe that traditional financial systems don't have that kind of transparency, right? We all know that you put your money in the bank and the bank's using your money. It's added to its interest. It makes different benefits and things from hosting your money, right? Where Bitcoin is its own private digital ledger. So in turn, if you have a wallet, you create what are called private keys. And I think there's some questions that may come up about the differences between exchanges and just buying Bitcoin. And when I first talked, there's a couple of different ways to be in the business. You can buy Bitcoin and ride its volatilities up and down based on how much you put in, or you can simply have a miner that, regardless of the fluctuation of the market, it's always going to need to prove and validate transactions. And so the reward is based on how difficult it is for one of these machines to find a block to verify. So that's also an equation that goes into how much you get on a daily basis. It's called a difficulty reward. Typically, they're kind of on the rise right now. So it's, the more miners that are out there or the less valuable the coin is, it becomes more difficult to mine. So the reward that you get will deviate based on its ability to actually find the block to verify. So, in a nutshell, you get a room full of these machines, and they're like workers. I oftentimes compare it to the gold mine, right? You got your worker, and he's sitting there all day, and he's in the river, and he's panning for gold. And every bit of gold he makes, he's putting away for the owner. But the owner says, you know what, here's a little bit for you. And every day, that little miner, he's putting a little bit of gold away. And back under his pillow, wherever he hides his gold, he inevitably has this stack of mined Bitcoin. And the freedom element comes from the fact that you can use and transfer your Bitcoin 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to anybody who has the ability to receive it, where all you have to do is create an account and you can receive it. And so freedom, it's important because now you're not dependent on any real system other than this machine, knowing each day it's going to bring you a certain amount of money. And Bitcoin's always going to have a good place, because right now the market cap for Bitcoin is only getting bigger, and there's only a certain number of coins left that can even be mined. And so being in on this level, you're kind of setting yourself up for long-term success, because
Right.
it's
Absolutely.
kind of like having, say, a retirement account where that money's there. And if markets are great, you're like, hey, my retirement account's doing great and I have all this money in there, but I'm never going to use this until I retire.
So,
With
Bill, maybe
Bitcoin,
you can dispel the myth that Bitcoin is not real money. Some people don't believe that, it's not backed by anything. It's in the air. It's all these other things that people talk about. Won't you kind of explain? I mean, can you buy a house with it? Can you, is it real money? Is it going to go away?
yeah, I mean, it definitely is such. I mean, you can always convert your Bitcoin into US dollar. I'm one that really does live and move in Bitcoin all the way around. I keep a sizable amount of it on my exchange. And if I need it, I can transfer it right down to my bank account, instant transfers. These are the bits of information oftentimes that people don't have, or they don't understand, and that's kind of one of our missions as a company, is to show people, just giving them the information and letting them know, hey, these are ways that you can viably do it, but also making sure that they understand it, and have access to it, right? Because it could be one thing to know all day about it, but do you know a facility? Do you know a place that you can host it? There's lots of variables that put it out of reach. And oftentimes, we've seen that in the past, where there's things we want to achieve and things we want to do, but we don't have the information, we don't have the knowledge, and we don't have the access to do so. And so as a company, we've kind of put that as at the forefront of our mission, to kind of a dual focus mission. And it's kind of to bring awareness to people of what this type of financial situation using Bitcoin can do for them, and then also bringing new adoption to Bitcoin at the same time. So we want to be that channel that's like, You didn't know, here's how, here's the information. And if you have the ability, here's the access level to do it, right? I feel like that's the important building block that, our communities need to focus on building opportunities like such.
This is good stuff, man, because so many people don't have the awareness or the information. And so this is exciting about the show. Won't you kind of go into the difference between, you speak a lot about Bitcoin, but we hear about other cryptocurrencies. So maybe you can explain the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. There are lots of other coins that are on the market. Building coins it's a cool business. A lot of people do it because you can raise capital for yourself. You can bring together communities and channel the resources into these coins and then create, a very profitable, stable place for people with their money. The reason I really focus really hard on Bitcoin is because it was kind of the original adopter of the blockchain technology. So a lot of the other coins, they want to utilize the blockchain technology, but they'll find different benefits of using it, say security or different things that the blockchain benefits by using that coin. So you'll find a lot of these new coins will have a niche, or they'll be tied to a specific thing that utilizes the blockchain as that open book ledger, right? And so obviously a big fan of blockchain technologies because I feel like transparency and things like that are very important when dealing with money. So I've always been a fan of that. But blockchain is only used in relevance to Bitcoin for the verification of transactions, and that's it. They were the original ones that started this, and I believe the people behind Bitcoin put a lot of thought and energy into creating a coin that could truly be, the next financial tool of our world, right? Like they put a lot of energy into it. Like in mining, we talk about the rewards, right? This Satoshi, who is, this is the guy who they claim is the guy who built Bitcoin, and nobody truly knows. So there's always that speculation, which is kind of against the grain of governments, right? So that's one thing I admire about it. But when they put this together, they put some really good, what I consider to be milestones that make it pretty predictable what Bitcoin will do. Bitcoins always will be controlled by the greed and the fear. You'll hear that all the time.
I want you to hold that thought. We got to take a station break. But they will always be controlled by the fear and the greed.
For greed and fear.
So I tell you, this is very exciting. And if you want to be part of this conversation, you go to radio 1-866-577-2473, or you can go to the comments and ask this man any questions that you like, because it's getting interesting. And we got a couple of questions standing by for you as soon as we get back. It's Your Life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
And Odyssey.com.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James Cooley is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and I tell you, this is interesting because I didn't know anything about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency other than what you're seeing here on television, and I'm kind of liking how this is done, but still got a million questions. That I want to ask. But we got a couple other folks with questions first, and our viewers and our listeners, if you want to be part of the conversation, you can call into the radio station 1-866-577-2473, or whichever platform you're watching this on. Just go to the platform and ask Mr. Bill any question that you like. First of all, we got a question from Joshua Goldsmith. Joshua Goldsmith asked a question: how is that different from a third-party credit card verified that get paid on the same time? I think he was talking about when you were talking earlier about the bank portion of it, and people have money in the bank and et cetera, and how they go about getting this, because everybody get a percentage or a little piece of the pot. I think that's what he's asking.
All right. I mean, it's a little bit different because mining is a business where you can go out and buy a couple of these machines and put yourself in the ability to basically start receiving those verification transactions, and so I think it's a little bit different than obviously credit cards and how they do their transaction fees and stuff like that. This is more of a reward versus a receive, because you're working. And so just like that gold miner I described there by the river, who's there sifting through, he's really being rewarded for his participation in the process. And so I think it's a little bit different in that nature, reward versus, say, a fee, because it's not fee. It's more of a reward for working.
Okay. And we got Mr. Clem, Clemnet. I'm going to bring him on. We got a question for you as well. Clem, I got you live.
Outstanding. This is really, really, really nice seeing you today, Bill. My question, Bill, is I'm looking at a data center coin mint. I see that in the Bitcoin arena, data centers are starting to come online. Can you answer, is it worth going to the data center other than the hardware? And if so, is there additional costs associated with a data center over your individual hardware?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what our company does. Is we're a facility host, and so we as a data host, we basically host these machines for individuals. And a lot of companies like CoinMint and others, they execute a process called staking, where staking is where you take some of your, earned profits and put them away, right? And you're guaranteed a percentage of money after a certain time for them sitting there. I would want to compare it to like a stock or a bond in many respects. And so the benefit of these facilities like mine is that we benefit from an industrial energy rate, right? And so where it might not be financially conducive for one to mine at home or in a commercial area, you have these centers that pop up where they make what are called power purchase agreements with energy providers in order to get the lowest rate possible so that they can pass that on to the customer. And so oftentimes I tell people it's with facilities like mine, you want to try to have a direct relationship with the facility, right? Where you're able to call into their support, talk to them, possibly even visit the data center, which doesn't happen in most scenarios. We've kind of set the blueprint for that, where our customers have access codes, they can come in, they can visit it, they can have that peace of mind that where they're investing and what facility that they're investing in is stable, functioning, and secure, right? So I feel like that might have touched on some of your question, but if you have more you'd like to add on to that or elaborate on, I can as well.
Right, that did answer my question, and great job for that. So mining, dynamics mining, that's a real good concept that you have there. I currently have my own data centers, but for IT side, we're using CoreSite data centers. I'm sure you're familiar with CoreSite. Are
Yeah,
you
that's
working under like a CoreSite? Say again?
that's actually my background is data center managements and servers, like the lane you're in exactly right now. It's really cool.
Okay, so is there a format where I could integrate my CoreSite data center with your data center, and then kind of integrate my blockchain process with yours?
I mean, we definitely do things like that with a lot of our different clients that we work with. We have people that have scenarios like that. We kind of take them on a case by case basis just to, make sure that everything's understood properly on both sides. And then, things like power purchase agreements and cost of energy and overhead are all considerations that you have to take. But it's definitely something in our wheelbarrow and that we like to do with people. So that may be something offline that we can discuss.
Perfect.
What would be the benefit of something like that, Bill?
I mean, at least for me, with a lot of my data centers, it definitely helped me increase my overhead by having some machines and clients that were into mining Bitcoin. It's a straight across process. Basically, data centers make money in the capacity of such. Say, as a company, you pay the energy company 7 cents a kilowatt hour for your usage, and then you charge onto your customers, say 8 cents a kilowatt hour, right? Everybody's still profitable, but now this individual can actually mine without paying, really high energy rates. And so when you're a facility owner, you have a data center, there's so much overhead involved, there's so much money that you've put into this business that I feel like mining is a very lucrative add-on to what you may do traditionally in some of your centers, and can create a great additional stream of revenue for a data center. And so I'd be more than happy to give you information about some of the, what we've learned in building facilities. And, just like anything, you go through your trials and tribulations to learn. And so we've been through a lot, and I'd be happy to share that with you too.
Oh, it's good stuff, man. I think you mentioned power purchase agreements. So how much power goes into these things? And you mentioned the cost. So like your facility right there, I know you have several facilities, but the one that you're in, I mean, what would be a typical electric bill for the month, if you don't mind sharing?
I don't. It's like maybe $425,000 per month in energy usage. One of these
Was that
miners,
$400?
no, 400,000. So it gets expensive, but it's again, opportunity and risk. They come paired, and so if you're able to get a good energy rate, you can create a pretty sustainable business, because you might make 610,000. Say Bitcoin's at 20,000, and Bitcoin shoots up to 30 or 40,000. The reward you receive increases as well.
Okay.
So right now, in particular, the industry is a really good place because it's a bear market. So this same machine that I showed you last year was a $15,000 machine. So you're like, okay, I want to buy 100 of those. Well, to get into the business, it becomes cost prohibitive for a lot of people. And so as markets fluctuate, this same machine is now worth $2,500, right?
Wow.
Because now the price of Bitcoin's down a little bit and the fluctuations change. And so the investments become dual thread. You know, you got your hardware investment that could decrease and increase, but as long as you have that steady power agreement, then you can predict what you're going to achieve, you know, from the machines, and again, create a pretty good scalable income for yourself as well.
Wow. You know, you said 400,000. I think that's what you said. That's just a monthly bill for electricity.
Yeah, and so we're running about 1,800 of these machines on that. One of these machines is probably the equivalent of powering like 3 homes.
Wow.
To run it on solar panels, you would need 15 solar panels to run one. So it becomes kind of tricky to think of ways to do it, you know, renewably, to try to save money. There's lots of different intricacies into trying to figure that out. And it's kind of what we specialize in. You know, we're kind of like, as a company, you know, our slogan's kind of been making the impossible possible. And I really like taking situations where it's like, hey, this is impossible to do. The outcome that is outrageous, and then really attacking it. Nothing's better than making something possible that was deemed impossible prior to. So,
wow. We got about a minute and a half before the break, but I do want to talk about some of the risks, and I guess we can get started. Some of the risks of crypto mining, Bitcoin, because everything that you're saying sounds like the glorious portion of it. But what are some of the challenges? Let's get that started before the break.
I mean, initially, you know, some of the challenges one would face trying to, say, break into the industry themselves are like the initial hardware cost, the housing of them with the energy rate, and those become potential risk, right? Like you could get with an energy company whose rate this year is one rate, and then next year it's higher, right? Or you could turn around and Bitcoin goes down to 16,000. And you're like, I spent $10,000 a machine. How am I leveraging, you know, my revenues? And it goes back to the core understanding of Bitcoin as kind of like a financial tool, right? Even for me, when Bitcoin went low, I really only utilize my Bitcoin when I'm in a situation where I need to. So if Bitcoin's really high, great. I needed to use it. It's high. I spent less. If it's low, then I'm a little more cautious about my spending, right? You don't want to, you know, you acquire a Bitcoin, and I'll be transparent. The Bitcoins that I had, you know, they probably average accumulation was like 25,000 to 30,000 a Bitcoin. And so, you know, I tell people, and I'll share this because I think it's a good jewel for those who may be in Bitcoin, is you just leverage it off of what it makes. So today, you know, Bitcoin goes up 2,000, right? A savvy Bitcoin investor can say, well, let me get that 2,000 and put that to the side, right? And capture my profits. Or one could say, I'm totally comfortable. I don't need my Bitcoin right now. I'm not financially dependent on my Bitcoin for my survival. This is the one thing that I tell people. Like if you're using, you know, your hard-earned money from a job, thinking you're going to throw it into Bitcoin and earn, you know, an incredible reward right away, that's not the route to go.
I want you to hold that thought, because we're going to have to talk about this. When to sell the Bitcoin, when to keep it, when to do this, and when to, all of these type of things. Fascinating conversation. Our viewers and artists out there. When we part of 1-866-577-2473, or just like I said, go to wherever you're watching this at. Just ask this great man any questions that you like, because it's fascinating. I need to know a little bit about Bitcoin, and so do you. We'll see you shortly after the break. It's your life.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley. The JC Cooley.
Options, Opportunities, the Choice Program. Our primary mission is to help build a foundation of our youth and young adults and communities. And we encourage everyone to dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. And the way that you do that is, first of all, you got to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you are here for a purpose. You also have to be able to step out your comfort zone and do things that you probably didn't think that you can do. Hello,
Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you that I'm learning so much from this conversation that we having with Bill about Bitcoins and crypto mining, and I'll be honest with you, I did not think that it was all created on energy primarily. Mining comes from the energy source, and that's going to be a question that I'm going to have to ask him when we get back. But we got a couple of folks with a couple of questions. First of all, Dr. Michelle Cooley asked this question: since each Bitcoin will be valued higher with each passing day, the question of when to spend becomes important, causing spending surges, which would cause the Bitcoin economy to fluctuate. What are your thoughts on that, Bill?
I mean, it's definitely something that you have to consider, when to utilize your Bitcoin. I think each Bitcoin, each day, it does, of course, vary a little bit each day with Bitcoin. And there's lots of different factors that go into play. Just like the stock market, there's lots of different things that are considerations that might control the cost of the coin. And so, I try to tell people that, Bitcoin's not necessarily something that you just want to use to spend whenever. You want to wait till you're in a position where you've received, more than you anticipated to spend, or more than you had. So, for example, if Bitcoin increased a certain amount, it's a pretty decent time for yourself to leverage your money, but it's still something that you have to kind of keep in control. You have to watch your spending, but at the same time, it gives you that flexibility to kind of choose, when your money is going to work the best for you. So, for example, if Bitcoin's, trading at a higher value and it's a better time to spend assets because it has a higher value. When it's lower, the cost of it might take a little hit on you. So in a nutshell, to answer your question, if you're going to spend your Bitcoin, this is my personal opinion, of course, you want to do it at a time where you have realized certain profits above what you spend, and it doesn't affect your day-to-day financial status.
Wow. Got another question from Joshua Goldsmith. How can we benefit as a society for the use, mining, and the use of Bitcoin in a practical way?
Again, I think giving people control of their money and where it lives and how it fluctuates, I think is one of the biggest benefits for our society. I mean, there's so many things that regulate the value of the dollar and so many things that can get attached to dollars, such as interest and all these different things. And so I feel like, Bitcoin itself has a huge benefit to society in that realm. And then mining, I'll give you an example. A lot of the facilities I open are sometimes in rural communities, right? Where the power usage or the amount of energy that they're allocated, it's there, but it's not utilized. So you get a company like ours who can come in and add to the use of what's already there. Now you're giving people jobs, you're creating new resources for people in communities that didn't have it before. And so I believe mining has that core benefit for society, that in that it can, really bring financial stability to people in the workforce and in their portfolios of investment.
Good stuff, Bill. Let's get into some exciting, because I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, Bitcoin came out about the time of your conception of your company, right around 2009 or so, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
tell
2010.
people, how much was Bitcoin then, and then what's the highest is when, so people can really get a chance to see why this can be a wealth creation tool.
Right, because if you look at it from a time perspective, right, we're talking a 14-year period of time it's been around. There's not too many investments that have done what Bitcoin's done in a 14-year period of time. When Bitcoin started, it was, below 10 cents. It had no intrinsic value at all. It was, the first guy, I think he sold a ton of Bitcoin for a pizza
For pizza.
delivery, right? That same Bitcoin would have him, $80 million today. And so the idea of, again, like I said before, if you have money that you're not financially dependent on for your survival day to day, and you have an annuity, let's compare it to like an annuity or anything that was something that you collect on, Bitcoin has went from 10 cents to 65,000 a share in a 14-year period of time. So if you think of all the different investments that you could make, I mean, $100 in 2011 in Bitcoin would have you and your entire generation of family retired for another 100 years to come, right? And so it's just a matter of you throw $100 or $1,000 in Bitcoin back then, and you're sitting on lots of millions of dollars. And so people say, "Well, did I miss my opportunity?" And this takes me back to a point I was making before our segue. Bitcoin is, in my opinion, very predictable, because when Satoshi and his group of individuals built this, they put milestones in place. They're called halving events. Every 4 years, Bitcoin cuts the reward of this machine in half based on the number of coins in circulation. Well, if you study and you watch charts, you're like, okay, the first halving occurred and Bitcoin went, from a couple of cents up to a few dollars. The next 4-year halving occurred, it went from a few $1,000s into a 20,000 range, and then it dropped back down again. So every 4 years, you have these events that kind of continue to make Bitcoin valid. Obviously, it kind of puts people out who may not have the overhead to continue to buy miners. So it separates the valid miners from those who are kind of just jumping into the business to win. And so, to answer your question directly, in my opinion, Bitcoin's probably been the most viable investment tool that we've seen to date. And these halving events are only going to make the coin more valuable, right? As a company, we've hedged and leveraged a lot of our investments and bets on this next halving event, which occurs in May of 2024, right?
Right.
And then you guys watch and you go back and study the charts, you'll see, 3 to 6 months after that halving event, now we're on a bull run, and Bitcoin.
Wow. You know, we down to the last minute of the show. This requires another show, Bill. This requires another show because it's so many unanswered
Can I
questions.
get one question in there before we jump off of here? Because Bill, under the last halving that event, we seen Bitcoin go up to as high as $60-something thousand, like you said. So May 2024, do you believe that we may see $100,000 coin? You know, not in May, but I mean in that next halving event.
I believe it will be the result of what puts the coin over 100. I think it may be Christmas and into the beginning of 2025. We see that.
Wow. You know, I tell you, we're completely out of time. And I want to. Hey, we got to do it again, Bill. Got to do it again because we want to continue to educate our listeners, our viewers. Absolutely fantastic show. I'd like to thank you for coming on the show. I'd like to thank Dr. Hall, Clem. I'd like to thank my producer, KCBQ, Todd, Pyrick, most importantly, my executive producer, Michelle Cooley, and the audience for tuning in and listening and watching the James Cooley Show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll see you tomorrow.
Gotta do part two, Bill. Part two.
Absolutely, part two, fellas. Thank you.